Hi, I'm Dina Sowers, and I'm with South State Maximum Performance Realty, and I am in Southwest Florida. I'm joined today by Jim Cleish, and he is with American Financial Network, and he is a mortgage broker, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the mortgage industry and what's going on with the market right now. Thanks for coming, Jim.
Thank you, Dina, for having me.
All right, so what is going on right now with just the industry in general in the mortgage industry?
Sure. Well, the mortgage industry is actually getting stronger right now. Interest rates have been dropping, which has been very good. So we've seen interest rates drop almost a full percent for well-qualified buyers in the last probably 3 to 5 months.
Wow, that's great news.
Yeah.
So, what are the rates right around now? I mean, we don't know when someone's going to be watching this, but as of January 2024, what are you seeing with the rates?
So rates are, it's hard to really kind of discuss interest rates, but for a very, very well qualified borrower, they are in the sixes now. Whereas, a year ago, 6 months ago, they were into the high 7% range. Now, that
Wow.
obviously depends on down payment, depends on all type of factors,
Of
but
course.
they are definitely coming down.
All right. So best case scenario, we see the low sixes for right now. That's good news.
Well, I,
That's a
I
lot
would
of buying power.
Yeah, absolutely. Interest rates definitely help for buying power and things like that. But the most important thing is anybody that's really thinking about purchasing a home, they really want to discuss it with a professional because interest rates are not the only factor in purchasing a home. There's many other things that help to buy a home. So I wouldn't make that the sole focus, but it's definitely helping.
Yeah, I was just actually discussing that with a client yesterday, and they were asking me what I thought they could afford, and I said
Right,
that's not my job, call Jim. So
right.
I think they did. So so that's good.
Yes, they did.
Um,
Actually, we had a very good conversation.
yeah, so it's best to just, don't be afraid to call, don't be afraid to call Jim. He'll tell it like it is and let what your situation is. And that way you don't fall in love with the your dream home and find out that it's not affordable to you.
Right, absolutely. Unfortunately, um, people make some mistakes of not even talking to a realtor like yourself. They look at Zillow. Well, Zillow is no indicator of really what the business is like. A professional like yourself is who you really want to go to so that you get an idea of what the market is, and then get them with somebody like myself, who's a mortgage professional of 25 years, that can help them to understand how do they get into the home of their dreams. Everybody has the opportunity to get into their home of their dreams as long as they can qualify for it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's what we want. I mean, we want everyone to, strive to have that freedom to have your own home, to pick your own home and to not pay rent.
Yes,
Um,
right.
so why do you think that the rates are coming down?
Well, some of it has to do with inflation. So the good news is in the last year, inflation has dropped from about 6% down to almost 2%. That's a substantial reduction in inflation. And the Fed is looking at that. That's one of their main reasons for talking about interest rate reductions. So in the last couple of years, we've seen the Fed raising rates like crazy. Um, and the reason why was to stave off inflation so that inflation didn't get us into a bad situation. So, by their interest rate increases, that also raised our interest rates in the mortgage industry, and making it more difficult to get home buyers to purchase homes and that. But we still had a pretty good 2024, even with the higher interest rates. But with inflation coming down, this helps interest rates to come down. So when the Fed makes changes, we're seeing rates dropping, but there's a lot more that has to do with it than just what the Fed does a rate cut. We saw rates drop, and the Fed hasn't dropped interest rates. So we've seen a lot of rates dropping without the Fed dropping the interest rates. So we're going to continue to see that, but they're always going to, focus on inflation and recession.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
right now, if you look at this graphic, we've got almost 6 months worth of supply. That makes it a buyer's
Sure.
market. But
Yes.
anecdotally, what I'm seeing is the market is really picking up. It seems
Yeah.
like exponentially, all of a
Yes.
sudden, people are trying to start to make some moves. What do you think is causing that?
Well, to give you an idea, mortgage applications throughout the United States actually rose 8% last month.
Oh,
All right, that's
wow.
a substantial increase. So the reason why is because it's still a buyer's market out there.
Hmm.
And with rates coming down a little bit, the buyers have a lot of buying power, and it gives them an opportunity to, maybe get seller paid closing costs to actually put them into a position to have the down payment. Maybe they don't have the closing costs.
Hmm.
Sellers are in a position where interest rates have come down and they want to get to their next home. So they're seeing their buying power being stronger as well.
Okay. Well, what
Yeah.
do you think about the people who say, well, I'm going to wait till rates come down even further?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. And the reason why is there's twofold. One, interest rates, you can always refinance a home, especially a lot of buyers out there are going to be in FHA loans. And FHA loans are easy loans to refinance and really cost effective. But secondly, if you are waiting on the fence to wait till rates get down to, some people have ridiculous numbers in their minds of, oh, I'm going to wait until it gets down to 3% or whatever. Unfortunately, that's not likely going to happen. And it's, to give you an idea, the reason why it did happen, remember, the reason why is because we had a pandemic. That is, we had to stave off all the other problems and get our buying power out there. It's going to take a disaster for us to see interest rates like that. I've been doing this for 25 years, and we had not seen anything like that before. So realistically, the average interest rate in the mortgage industry over the last 25 years has been in the 5% range. Believe it or not, most people are comfortable with that. So there's a lot of opportunity. When are we going to get to that 5% range? I don't know. We do see good things coming, but what will happen, you have to remember, just the same ways it did when interest rates dropped, that means the market will really light on fire, and it's going to become a seller's market. Once it becomes a seller's market, you as a buyer have less buying power. As a matter of fact, most times you're going to have to pay over
Yeah.
a purchase price. And that puts you into a bad position. Right now, realistically, is probably your best time to purchase because you're going to get a home that's less expensive at a reasonable interest rate that can be refinanced. If you were to buy, you know, today and your interest rate was say 7%, but in 6 months or wait in 6 months, you may be at 5.5%, but your home price might be up 10% from then. So your $500,000 home is now a $550,000 home. Believe it or not, with that lower interest rate, your payment will be higher.
Hmm. And that crash everyone was waiting for didn't happen, and I don't expect it to happen. Do you?
No, no, not at all. And the reason why was because the Fed had taken control of the interest rates by rising the interest rate. And by doing that, it slowed the market down, which was not always that beneficial for you and I, and
Hmm.
not always beneficial for our buyers and our sellers, but it was necessary. And the reason why is because if home prices get overinflated, it's going to make things very difficult for buyers and for sellers, and it won't be beneficial for the overall economy.
Right. Well, and it kind of reminds me of like if people who are waiting to buy right now, it reminds me of some of the sellers putting their homes up on the market this past year, and they were trying to get their 2022 price in
Right,
2023. It didn't
right,
happen. And it's a
right.
similar sort of situation where you can want all day long to get that 2.5% interest rate. Don't wait for
Sure,
that.
sure.
It's going to be a
Absolutely
costly
not.
mistake if you try and wait for that.
It's always going to be a failure. Remember, home prices don't really actually go down. We talk about the market. Oh, well, home prices are less than they were this or that or the other. Over the last 50 years, we've only had 1 year, and that was in 2007 or eight. I'm not sure if that was it. It was
Mhm.
7 or 8. that home prices actually were at zero increase, though there was a lot of opportunity out there and there was a lot of home prices reduced. But over the average, over the entire United States, and depending on what state and city you're in,
Mhm.
we have seen home prices go up, and we continue to see home prices go up.
Yeah.
Last year alone, we saw a 6% increase. That's a
Yep.
substantial increase, especially
That's
if you're
huge.
talking about a $500,000 home.
Yep, that's huge. Yep. And
Yeah,
I mean, the scale might have some blips and things, but the general
absolutely.
trajectory is up. And so
Absolutely.
locking down a piece of real estate, even if it's not your forever home, lock something down now, then find your forever home, and then
Well,
you'll
the average
sell in a
consumer,
better market.
absolutely. So the average consumer, when they buy a home, stay in their home less than 7 years. So that's the average consumer, and that's first-time home buyers to people who have owned several homes. It
Hmm.
just is the way it is, and that number actually, that time is actually reducing. So it's dropping from 7 to 6 years is the average time of somebody owning a home. So almost no home is a forever home because of the kind of country that we are. We're a very
Right.
mobile country.
Well, and down here in Florida, I mean, a lot of
Yeah,
times it's their second home, they're snowbirding and,
sure,
or they're
sure,
rented out. And I mean, it's a great time actually right now
absolutely.
to pick up some investment property as well down in
Oh,
Florida.
absolutely.
Yeah, we've got some good deals right now. But I don't think they're going to last. I think
No,
we're in January of 2024 now. If you look at this active inventory here, it's up 77% from last year. That's
that's
ridiculous.
huge.
We had
That's it's
nothing on the market last year. And this year we have a lot of things on the market, but things are selling and it's a great
yeah,
time to jump in.
yeah. Well, it's absolutely true. And the reason why that is because interest rates are coming down. And so people are feeling comfortable getting out into the market. Buyers are definitely out in the market. Again, going back to that same statement, it's a buyer's market right now. So
Mhm.
sellers are trying to really become a part of that so that they can sell their home at a good price. So they can also remember they're going to want to go and buy a home at a good price with a good interest rate. And they also realize that they're going to refinance. So with this coming down, you see the median price going up, and it's just going to keep on going up.
Yeah. And I think if
Yeah,
you look at like the if we look back at this video, I think that we will
right,
see that now was a fantastic time to buy because I think they've got all these pent up buyers and sellers. They didn't want to make a move last year because the interest rates were too high and they
right,
couldn't get into something new at the
yeah,
same interest rate. And so they
right,
were, but all of those people, plus the people who would normally buy and sell right now,
right,
they're all coming into the
right.
market right now. And I think you're going to miss out if you don't pick up something right now.
Oh yeah. Well, also remember, renters are paying ridiculous price for rent
Yeah.
right now, and that's a problem because you got to pay first month's rent, last month's rent. You got to put all this money into a house. I mean, you're talking about 5, 6, $7,000 to get
Yep.
into an apartment of money you're never going to see again. At
Right.
least if you take that money and you invest it into a house, you're going to get that. You're always going to gain equity. There's a reason why they say the best investment, and you talk to any Wall Street person, they will tell you the best investment is always real estate.
Mm-hmm. It never goes down to zero, right?
Never goes to zero.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And I had some stocks in the past that definitely went down to zero. So,
Yeah,
well, thank you
unfortunately,
so
I have to.
much for taking the time and sharing this information. I'm sure people will find it very helpful. I'm going to put your contact information as well as mine down in the comments
Sure.
so people will have full access to it. But do you want to just real quick tell us about you and maybe just state your phone number real quick in case people don't want to look at the comments?
Sure. Again, I'm Jim Cleach. I've been with American Financial Network for several years. I am a branch manager and owner of this branch, and I've been doing this for 25 years. My phone number is 239-989-4236. Again, it's 239-989-4236. I'm happy to answer anything.
Yeah, and really reach out to Jim anytime. He is unbelievably available to people who need help. I mean, really, every time I've ever contacted you, if it was a Saturday night or, you know, a Sunday morning,
Right.
you know, you're always happy to help people. So I really appreciate that about you.
Homeownership is very important to me.
All right. Well, thanks again for watching. And don't forget to look in the comments for Jim's information and my information. Act now. Let's get you into
Yeah,
something today.
absolutely. Thanks, Dina.